Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch. Brought to you by, incredibly enough, thegaminggang.com, which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is May 30th. Almost said 29th. And I'm living in the past. Tonight is May 30th. It's actually right up there in the corner, for crying out loud. 2023. This is live stream 925. If you're not familiar with this show, let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then, usually, we will take a first look at a game. Every once in a while, I'll do some reviews on the live show, which we shall be seeing some in June. So I'm floating that out there. But for the most part, we take a first look at usually a new game. And that will be the case tonight, because we're going to dive in. We are going to take a first look at Fear of the Unknown from Sixpence Games. This is a horror role-playing game. I think it's powered by the apocalypse. So we will find out, because of course, it's a first look. And I really do take these first looks seriously. I do not look into the books. Okay, honestly, every once in a while I will peek to see what the page count is, just to make sure that the information from, like, say, DriveThruRPG is right. Because sometimes their page counts are wrong. So sometimes that's the case. So I do crack them open, but I don't look at anything except the page numbers. Anyway. So if you are hanging out because you want to see the live first look at Fear of the Unknown, I do want to mention that we look at the tabletop gaming news first. So it'll probably be about 35 minutes, maybe 40, before we dive on into the first look. So just want to let you know, if you're watching live, kick back, relax, put your feet up. Probably had a hard week already, even though it's only Tuesday. Be good to yourself. Now, if you're a subscriber to the channel, you'll have something that could occupy your time as well, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But if you happen to be watching this 30 minutes or more after the show ends, there will be timestamps. So if you are impatient and you just got to get to that first look, you'll be able to. You'll be able to use those timestamps. They are located in the show notes, and you can jump right over to the first look. Of course, depending on the device you might be utilizing to watch this, those timestamps might be right there in the timeline of the video right in front of you. So even easier. Don't even have to dig around in the show notes. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you will not find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Lastly, this is a live stream, so that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours. Remember, I'm mentioned, if you're a subscriber, you can do something to occupy your time a little bit if you're not too keen on the news portion. Well, that is it. You can take part in chat. So if you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, maybe there's something about fear of the unknown that you want to get a closer look at, by all means, chime in. I'll do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight, I believe, yes, it is the Motor City Madman himself. Yes, the Madman is with us, as is Flaming Huron and Disavowed 92, as well as Kathy Evans. So welcome, everybody. Happy Tuesday. For some reason, I have a hair or something on the side of my nose. Get rid of that there. Otherwise, it'll be just bothering me up until we do the brief intermission. I'll be like, get off me! Get off me! Doing my best Peter Brady impersonation. I can't make my voice crack, though. Anywho, welcome, everybody. Hopefully, you had a great holiday weekend, unless you live someplace where it wasn't a holiday weekend. I just hope you had a great weekend. So, I got to wrap up my adventure with my nephew and his friends. So I will talk about that after we discuss the news and talk about a little change of direction that I'm going to be taking as far as that game, not, anything here. So, all right, without further ado, let's jump on into the news because, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Three Ring Circus is coming to your town this summer. Here's the latest from Devir Games. Or Devir Games? I never know how to pronounce it. The circus has come to town. Under the tent, jugglers, clowns, magicians, strongmen, and wild beasts capture the curiosity of a dedicated audience that applauds non-stop. Oh, that's an easy crowd. After each performance, your little troupe accumulates fame and maybe one day pique the interest of P.T. Barnum himself, the greatest circus mogul of all time. Biggest scam artist of all time, too. Yeah, there's a sucker born every minute. Hey, have you seen the Aggress? Check that out. Don't miss it. In Three Ring Circus, players take on the role of a circus director who tours the United States at the end of the 19th century. Your objective is to hire artists and offer performances in various towns and cities with the intention of gaining fame. In towns, features are easy to set up and give you starting resources to upgrade your cast. Small cities are somewhat more demanding, but they allow you to come into contact with better artists. Audiences in big cities are even more demanding and want to see very specific numbers, but performing there brings you much more fame. On their turn, players can hire an artist or host a performance. At the beginning of the game, each player's circuses are empty, so it will be necessary to contract two from the company. The artist cards grant more or fewer benefits depending on the order in which they act. So one of the keys to the game is planning the shows that will be offered. If they decide to act, the players must move to a free space on the map. If it is a town, they receive the most basic currency cards as a prize. If you perform in a small city, depending on the number of pedestals you have in your company, you can claim more or fewer entry cards. It's the second most valuable, or fame points. In the big cities, yes, you get a lot of fame points, but the public always demands a specific type of artist. While your little circus tries to survive, the great and splendid Barnum Circus, yes, because at this point in time, it would not have been the Barnum and Bailey Circus, travels across the country, and when it arrives in a big city, a score is held in that region. And the circuses that have given the most performances there will gain even more fame. I'm going to take a guess. Whoever's got the most fame at the end of the game is going to be the winner. It wasn't spelled out, but I'm taking a guess because it seems like fame is very important. Three Ring Circus is for 1 to 4 players, ages 12 and up. Plays in around 25 to 45 minutes. Will carry an MSRP of $39.99 when it rolls into town this August. Cool, very nice. I don't want to say a fascination. I do have an interest in like circus history. If I remember correctly, and maybe I'm misremembering this, but it wasn't too long ago. I thought there was an American Experience. I think it was 2 parts on PBS, right? And it was about the history of the circus. And it was very cool. It was really, really well done. And it's kind of interesting because nowadays, small kids wouldn't know what a circus was. Because, of course, and I was like, oh, well, I understand, the animal aspect of it. Yeah, I get it. I'm an animal lover. I have 2 cats. Come on, you know that. But I sort of think kids miss out a little bit. Although, to be very honest, I went to the circus as an adult and I was bored out of my mind. But there's just, I don't know, there's something about the history of circuses that I find really fascinating. And I think like the poster art is really pretty amazing as well. So this looks very cool. I think, now I might be wrong here, but I think there's actually 2 circus themed games that are coming out from Devir Games or Devir Games. And this is one of them. Very nice. Too bad Victory Point Games really, they exist, but they don't really exist anymore because they had Circus Train, which was a very interesting sort of game along these lines. Everybody was running their own circus and had to get acts. But you could also kind of screw over the other players and their circuses, which actually did happen historically. So how about that? All right, so 245 Trioxin is hanging with the gang. This about 92 is asking, when are we going to do TGG Con? Man, I could barely afford having TGG, let alone having a convention. That'd be another one of these situations where I would just be really embarrassed when hardly anybody would show up. It's also one of the reasons why I don't do like a Kickstarter to fund the gaming gang, because I'd be like, wow, we raised $600. Moving right along. Arriving this summer is Dungeons and Dragons Trials of Tempest. Here's the skinny from WizKids. Dungeons and Dragons Trials of Tempest is a cooperative team-based game for 2 to 8 players, where rival parties of heroic adventurers battle to prove their worth and mettle in the ever-changing battle realms of Tempest, God of War. Choose your hero wisely, for the skills and allies you need to conquer each trial are never the same. And the guardian that awaits you all at the end will surely test the limits of your bravery. Or is it your cunning? I have a cunning plan, me lord. The trial will tell. To win, you and your party must work together to earn more victory points than your rivals by completing quests and gathering loot. Finally, you must defeat the Trial Guardian. Whichever party has the most victory points when the Trial Guardian falls wins the trial. D&D Trials of Tempest is, once again, for 2 to 8 players. Ages 12 and up. Plays in around 2 hours. It's going to be available in 2 editions. One is standard with unpainted miniatures. Oh, wait a second. Why is that popping up? It's like, no, we're not talking about Salt and Pepper Games. What the hell? Boy, I tell you. And I had 5 images for this. I don't know why that's not showing up. Do not do. All right, get rid of that. Get rid of that. Although, honestly, the hunt looked pretty interesting when I talked about it last week. So there is the standard edition where the miniatures are not painted. Carries an MSRP of $99.99. Any car, any color. $99.99. No, I think it was just $99. If I think about it, Earl Scheid. Any car, any color. Or there's also a premium edition, which carries an MSRP of $199.99. Better make sure you got that 99 cents. And that has the miniatures that you are seeing right here. I gotta be honest, I don't know if anything else is different between the two editions. That the miniatures are painted in the premium edition and they're unpainted. I don't know if we've got like more premium component quality or anything like that. I don't know. I have no idea. Regardless, this is going to arrive sometime this summer. Don't have an exact release date. Myself personally, I would take a stab. We're probably looking at a Gen Con release. Just me. I don't know. But I got to say, I always think the pre-painted miniatures that WizKids does for D&D are pretty nice. They are pretty nice. Now, I have never actually seen them up close and personally. So I don't know. But I mean, the images you see are always really cool. And, you know, they don't look like so perfect that it's like, oh, yeah, that was some like professional painter there. And the pre-paints you get are going to look awful. No, not really. Not really. So Disavowed 92 is pointing out some of the good games that Devir Games has been making recently. Yeah, you'll notice I've shared a little more news about them as of late than I had in the past. Disavowed 92 says, meh, we'll make it more a gaming get-together than a proper game con. Those are expensive. To be honest, I would certainly be open to renting a like a meeting hall, like at a hotel or something like that, and doing like a game weekend. I would actually be quite open to that. Problem is, I can't do it all myself, folks. So, you know, you gotta realize, you know, it's the gaming gang, and I do have some people who do contribute, but 98% of the stuff that's done for the gaming gang is yours truly. Hi, how you doing? I'm Jeff McLear, by the way. Nice to see everybody. All right. Tessie Trekkie is joining us, as is Front End Chaos. I don't know. For some reason, Front End Chaos is ringing a bell. And then on the other hand, I'm thinking, is this a first-time visit? Don't know. Anyway, this looks kind of cool. Personally, I think the selling point for this are the minis. There are some pretty cool, looks like some pretty cool looking large miniatures with this. So let's move on to some role-playing game news, because there's a pretty good sized news piece, pretty big news, because Darrington Press has released the free quick start guide for Candela, or no, I'm sorry, it's Candela, I should say. I've always been trying to figure out how this is pronounced because I haven't watched it. Candela Obscura. I've got the scoop. You're needed, investigators. Join the secret society, Candela Obscura, to confront occult horrors from beyond, keeping hidden the true nature of magical incursions besetting our world. This quick start guide takes you on a journey through the new tabletop role-playing game, Candela Obscura, as featured in the new monthly anthology series on Critical Role's Twitch and YouTube channels. Get immersed in Candela Obscura's turn-of-the-century inspired setting. Learn about the secret society, you guessed it, Candela Obscura and its rival factions, and take a spin through a sample assignment using pre-generated characters and the illuminated world system. Grab some six-sided dice and you're ready to go. The full Candela Obscura core rulebook is going to be coming out in late 2023, but start playing today with this free quick start guide. This PDF includes a primer to the world, people, and principles of Candela Obscura, quick start rules to the illuminated world system, an example assignment with advice for game masters, NPCs and additional organizations to encounter and enhance play, as well as a set of 5 pre-generated characters, a blank circle sheet, I do not know what that might be, as well as a field guide of reference sheets, or a reference sheet for the field guide, one of the two. Consider this your invitation, your initiation to the secret order Candela Obscura. This 25-page PDF is available absolutely free over at DriveThruRPG. Front End Chaos says, I've been here before. I thought so. That's why I was like, that nickname's ringing a bell. But just in case. John Muscola is here. I know John's been here before. Tessie Trekkie says, Candela Obscura looks like a barely reskinned Forged in the Dark. John says, to me, Candela is a Call of Cthulhu knockoff. Well, 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 why don't you guys tell me how you really feel? So, you know I don't watch Critical Role. I've said it all the time. I don't have anything against it as entertainment. My issue is when people watch the show and they think, well, that's how role-playing games are. Because that ain't how it's done, Dooley. But I find it interesting that the first role-playing game, standalone role-playing game that Darrington Press is going to release, and of course, if you don't know, Darrington Press is Critical Role. You know, it is them. It is their company. Well, I find it very interesting that they're not doing a fantasy role-playing game. They're doing a horror game. So it's pretty obvious that they don't want to try to go head-to-head with D&D. I thought that was kind of funny. So I guess they'd rather go head-to-head with Call of Cthulhu. I gotta be honest, I don't think it's going to go well. Number one, it's just me, right? I'm just... an adventure is called an assignment? I don't know. I mean, right there, that just, to me, is like, meh. All right, everybody, let's gather tonight for our weekly game of Candela Obscura. I've got a new assignment for you. What is this, Mission Impossible? Then again, it could be cool. Could be cool. I don't know. I'm going to also take a stab that this is going to be super rules light. Six-sided dice. Yeah, okay. So Front End Chaos says they have a second game coming out for fantasy. Daggerheart? Oh, maybe. Maybe there is. I'll be the first to point out, I really don't... I don't have any, like, affiliation with Darrington Press. It's not like they send me, like, news pieces and stuff like this. I actually stumbled on this when I was over at DriveThruRPG. So, because a lot of times I'll take a look, oh, okay, so, you know, what's popular right now? And if it's something that I'm not familiar with, or maybe it's a release from somebody that I didn't catch a news piece for, like, you know, press release or sell sheet, anything like that. I'll be like, oh, okay, well, let me put together a news piece here. Let me see if I can find some images. And that's basically how it works. Roger Prudhomme is with us. Flaming Heron says, we really need a sign-in book. Oh, you've been here before, I see. Anyway, this, it's free. You can check it out. Graphically, it looks nice. I will say that. So I have kind of a theme tonight, and it's like very inexpensive role-playing news. Because there's a money-saving deal from Bundle of Holding, and it features the Dungeon Crawl Classics Lankmar series. Ooh, yes, baby. I've got the deets on the deal. Adventure. This resurrected April 2021 DCC Lankmar bundle once again presents the Lankmar campaign setting for the Dungeon Crawl Classics tabletop fantasy role-playing game from Goodman Games. Authorized by the estate of master fantasist Fritz Leiber, and yes, it is Leiber, it is not Lieber. I've had people actually comment on videos when I've mentioned Fritz Leiber before, and they're like, no, it's Lieber, and it's like, no, it is Fritz Leiber. Moving right along, this funded in a March 2017 Kickstarter. Goodman's Lankmar line expands the Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game rules to match the tone of Leiber's classic sword and sorcery stories. Explore the city of 7,000 smokes, Lankmar, and follow in the footsteps of Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser across the fantastic realm of Nawan. For just $14.95, you'll get both titles in the revived April 2021 offers starter collection, which have a retail value of $47, as DRM-free PDFs, including the massive DCC Lankmar box set and the introductory adventure Gang Lords of Lankmar. The quick start rules for Dungeon Crawl Classics are also included with this. If you pay more than this revived offer's threshold price of $25.99, that's currently, you'll level up and also get this revival's entire bonus collection with 8 more titles worth an additional $56, including The Land of 8 Cities, a dozen Lankmar locations, The Fence's Fortuitous Folly, Acting Up in Lankmar, Grave Matters, Rats of Ilthmar, Violence for Vodashal, and the aptly titled Blasphemy and Larceny in Lankmar. These savings run through June 19th, and 10% of your payment, after payment gateway fees, will be donated to the San Francisco Marin Food Bank. Nice. Very, very nice. Should also mention, now I'm not going to have a news piece about this tomorrow. I will throw it up on the website, though. There are two, count them, Lankmar bundles of holding. So this actually has the box set, kind of like the core, but remember, you just like Dying Earth and Empire of the East, you do need the core rule book to use these. So this is the core box set, and also I think it's like the first 8, 9 adventures. There is a second bundle of holding, which has the box set for the greatest thieves. It's either of Lankmar or in Lankmar, as well as more adventures. So, like I said, there are 2 bundles of holding currently going on that feature this. And I gotta be honest, I would love to take a peek at this because Goodman Games was kind enough to send along the everything that came out for Dying Earth. And stay tuned, I've got adventure reviews coming. I have 2 ready to go. I just didn't have a chance to shoot them. But this is the one I would love to take a peek at. I really, really would. Because if you follow the Gaming Gang, you know I am a huge, huge Fritz Leiber fan. I love the Fafhrd and Grey Mouser stories. I really, really do. Jason Bradley is with us, as is William Hellas Ice. I haven't seen William in a while. Good to see you. Why did my voice suddenly get high there? We haven't seen William in a while. Alrighty. Moving right along. How about something for free? I got another freebie to share with you. The Pathfinder 2021 free RPG day adventure, Threshold of Knowledge, is currently available as a PDF, which is on the house over at DriveThruRPG. Here's the lowdown. On the brink of greatness, the graduates of the Magambia are known as some of the greatest wielders of magic in Golarion. Now it's time for a new group of students to take their first steps on the path to greatness. In Threshold of Knowledge, you take on the role of one of 5 students from the prestigious Magambia, the oldest school of magic in the Inner Sea region. When a teacher goes missing, it's up to these new heroes to step up and solve a wicked mystery. That's a wicked hard mystery that threatens the existence of the Magambia itself. Threshold of Knowledge is a short adventure for first-level characters that takes the heroes into the Magambia and the nearby city of Natambu. In addition, the 5 pre-generated characters provide a quick way to jump into the adventure right away in this exciting offer for free RPG Day. Well, 2021, that is. Grab some dice and some friends and play the role of new heroes in training. Once again, this PDF is absolutely free over at DriveThruRPG. And you may not notice this, but a lot of times you don't see much from Pathfinder, and Paizo itself hit DriveThruRPG. So this is kind of unusual that they're putting this out there for free on DriveThruRPG. So if you are familiar with the adventure paths from Pathfinder, this easily segues into the Strength of Thousands. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if this was like the first chapter of that first part of the adventure path, because I could have swore that's how that adventure path starts off. Well, because the players are taking on the roles of students at the Magambia, and that is the case with this as well. So once again, this is a free PDF, and I think this clocks in around 30 pages or so. So by all means, give it a peek. All right, that is it for tonight's news. Of course, I was just talking about DriveThruRPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit DriveThruRPG or Dungeon Masters Guild or Storyteller's Vault or any of the other One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. Well, actually, right now there's square ads along the side of the site. And if you do happen to make a purchase, I'll get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. They really do. I'm not BSing you on that. Also, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. But if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, then you can always swing on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation. And I know there are quite a few of you hanging out in chats who actually stop by, making donations, sometimes not so small. And I really do appreciate that. I appreciate that a ton. So thank you, everybody, for using the ads for the One Bookshelf sites and or stopping by paypal.me. All right, so we are going to be diving into Fear of the Unknown from Sixpence Games in just a few minutes. If few things I wanted to cover before we get into that, before you're all scared of the unknown. First of all, don't forget, I am in the midst of a contest for you to win the PDF of Forbidden Lands, as well as the Book of Beasts and the Blood March from Free League Publishing. Super easy to get into. All you got to do is be a subscriber. Hopefully you give a thumbs up to the video. I mean, I can't make you do that. If I could, I would. No, it wouldn't. And you just have to leave a comment in the comment section. It's got to be a real comment. It can't be, "Hi, Jeff." Doesn't count. But you can comment about something you saw in the video. Maybe you want to rip on Candela Obscura more. Or was that it? Is that, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. Maybe that wasn't how it's pronounced or what the correct name of it is, but you know what I'm talking about. So you've got until June 10th. And then I will reveal the winner. If I remember right, I don't think the street date is until the 15th. So I will not be able to give you the PDFs until the 15th. Because I can't break embargo by giving you, a prize. I can't review it or talk about it. I think they're on their way. I think the 2 releases are on their way for me to share with you. And I don't think there's an embargo on that. I think it's just a review embargo. So, Flaming Heron says, give the video a like if you know what's good for you. Just like what I said, the PDF for Pathfinder is on the house. Flaming Heron said, tell it to get off the house then. So, jump on board. You can have a comment on all the videos. Or no, wait a second. Didn't I say, I think it's till the 14th I said it, the contest was, which came out to 10 videos. So if you comment on this video, you can comment on, other shows. They got to be the show. It can't just be any videos. But if you comment through the 14th, every one of those is an entry into the contest. I know I made it sound so much more complex than it really is. Be a subscriber, comment on the show videos. Ta-da, easy peasy. So as I also mentioned early on, I finished up my little 2-part adventure from Wyvern Songs. And I was, it's an OSE adventure collection, but I was using Castles and Crusades. And I had fun. I had fun. They did not wrap it up. So the 3 of them, my nephew and his 2 friends, they dilly-dallied a little too much. It's a little too much of, what should we do? What should we do? And things like that. It wasn't terrible. But I gotta say, the one friend was like, I don't know, he was like getting all pissed off. And he was rolling bad dice. But then he was like, like he was like pushing back at what I was, saying was going on in that. Like I'd say something, he'd be like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make any sense. And I'd be like, well, it just doesn't make sense to you. So, I don't know. I hate when I have players who think they're doing me a favor by coming and playing a game. No. So, Man says about 2 weeks ago, he bought the Forbidden Lands box directly from Free League. I should have waited. No, it's just a PDF, though. The contest is only the PDF. So, I mean, you can still win it. And you should be getting the PDF with your box set if you got it from Free League. Pretty sure that's how they operate. Almost positive. So, Flaming Heron says, gift for a friend? I wouldn't turn it down. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, hint, hint. So anyway, so the one friend who was like pushing back had to leave. So he did the same thing the last time we played. He's like, oh, it's 9 o'clock. I got to go. And the thing was, we were supposed to start playing at 5. And my nephew mistakenly told his 2 friends it was at 6. He's like, oh, I thought we were playing the same time we played last time. I go, yeah, it was 5, not 6. So anyway, so he left, and they were pretty close to the end. And then my sister-in-law came home, and I was like, yeah, you know what, guys? You're real close to finishing this up. Let me tell you what the deal is, which I never do. But I figured, because I thought, well, they're on the right track to how they need to, complete this adventure. But if they don't quite get it, I don't want to be sitting here like for 2 hours when it should only be about 30 minutes. So anyway, so I mean, that was fine. But I have decided that when we play again, and I may not, like I said, I may not have his one friend play. I decided I'm going to run Call of Cthulhu. I know. Like, geez, Jeff, you've run that game for 40 some years, man. Why don't you take a break? Couple of reasons. Number one, I honestly think, and I talked about this the last time I ran a game for my nephew and his friends, that because these guys don't read and they haven't read like classic fantasy. Fritz Leiber, who's that? Robert E. Howard, what? Conan? Yeah, I kind of think I know who Conan is. Well, my nephew does because he's seen the movie, the Schwarzenegger one. I introduced him to that years ago. I think he was like 13. Figured he was old enough. It's only a few boob shots. It's all right. So anyway, so I think they have a hard time picturing things. I talked about the lack of imagination last time. And it's not only them. And I was like, okay, I think they could picture the 1920s far easier than a fantasy setting. I mean, that's the reality of it. It's the reality of it. And the second reason is if I run Call of Cthulhu, I have a far better chance of my best friend Elliot Miller showing up regularly because he loves Call of Cthulhu. And he loves when I run Call of Cthulhu. So I am going to bust out Masks of Nyarlathotep, the newest edition. And even though I ran that, and I ran it for Elliot Miller, my best friend, it is so long ago, and his memory is not great anyway. And the things he remembers to this day, that he can't even tell you what he had for lunch today, usually. But he can tell you about specific adventures in Call of Cthulhu when we were in high school. The stuff he remembers wasn't even actually part of the campaign. It was just stuff I pulled out of my ass or rolled with. So, Flaming Heron says, as long as they don't think they can whip out their cell phones to make a phone call, my nephew would understand that. His friend Daniel, maybe not. But it's okay. Flaming Heron also said, I don't mind games taking a long time, but only if people really don't mess around and the game gets boring. Yeah, the problem was it was kind of dragging at points where it was like very minor things where it was kind of like man, you're overthinking this. I'll give you a great example. And once again, we are going to dive on into Fear of the Unknown in a few moments. I'll try to make this quick. So, the friend of my nephew's who was like getting pissed off, and like I said, it was mainly because of bad dice rolls. But I even told him, I said, that happens to everybody. Everybody has a night where it's like, damn, I can't. Every roll is like 5 or less. Or if playing Call of Cthulhu, it would be like, well, not that I get to play. Where the players are like, man, damn it, I rolled another 80? Come on. 94. Damn it. So anyway, they're in this like cavern. It's kind of like like a hidden cove like pirates would use to access their hideout or whatever. Well, that's what was in this thieves guild. So anyway, the three of them are down there and they find a hidden room and they're checking out the hidden room. Then they come back out and it's kind of almost like L-shaped. So they can't see around the corner. So they hear people talking. Well, they hear conversation coming from around the corner, but it's in a language they don't understand. So the one friend who was worked up, so okay, I'm gonna poke my head around the corner and see if I see what's going on, because he was the fighter, and it was 6 goblins, and I didn't say there were goblins because the characters, the first level, they came from some small village. They've never seen a goblin. But I did let them roll intelligence rolls that maybe once they looked, they were like, oh, you know what? I've heard stories of these things. I think those are goblins. Well, they all failed. So they didn't know. So anyway, they're all peeking their heads around. And then they go back and they're kind of discussing what should we do. And a few minutes goes by and they're talking about that. And the one friend's like, all right, I'm gonna go look around the corner again. And I said, okay, as you look around the corner, you see one of the little green guys. And I was kind of using like the Paizo goblins because I like those goblins. And I said, you see one of the goblins is looking right at you. And then he's surprised and he points and he starts talking to, he's like, and he got pissed. He's like, oh. I was like, okay, so you think I'm just going to sit here while you keep poking your head around the corner and you guys try to come up with some game plan on what you're going to do with these goblins? And they're just there. They're not like, we're going to kill people. So it turned out these goblins are there because the thieves owe them money. So the friend of my nephew's steps out and he's like, another thing is he's like, okay, so I'm going to turn to, because the other two were still behind this corner. So nobody'd seen them. And he's like, all right, so I'm going to turn on and tell him, all right, stay here. Don't follow me. And I asked, are you sure you want to do that? And he's like, well, why wouldn't I? Like real attitude. And I was like, okay, so think of it this way. So you're looking at somebody and they're peeking around a corner and you see them, and then you see them turn their head and start talking. Wouldn't you assume someone else is there? It's like, what the? It's like, come on. So anyway, they're like, well, the first thing they said to him is, where's our money? You owe us. Where's our money? Of course, he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, because they're assuming he's one of the thieves. He's like, no, I don't have anything to do with them. I don't have your money. And they're like, yeah, sure. And he was going to fight all 6 goblins. my my nephew was like, wait, no. He jumps out. And of course, the goblins were like, what? So, long story short, they end up going, they're going to go back and get gold they didn't take. And I'm like, oh man, I'm not going to just sit here while they traipse through this hole, retrace their steps. So there was like a treasure room that, because these weren't really good thieves. They were, yeah. So they had like all this big stuff that was valuable, but it was like, how the hell are you going to move it? So there was like one of the real close by rooms. So I had them all make intelligence rolls as they were in that room. I told them, you realize there's a lot of stuff in this room that's worth more than 50 gold pieces, is what was owed to them. I said, you might consider taking something back to them instead. So then you don't have to go all the way back to the entrance of this. So there was a pianoforte, a small pianoforte that was on casters. They wheel it. And then, of course, they have to drag it across the sand. And they're like, hey, we brought you this. It's worth more than 50 gold pieces. And of course, the goblin's like, what is that? And they're like, oh, it's a musical instrument. It makes music. So, of course, he's like, play it. And none of them, of course, obviously don't know how to play a pianoforte. So I said, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll give you one of you a chance to play it, and you can either use intelligence or you can use dexterity. And you get one shot. Okay, so my nephew's friend Daniel said, okay, I'll do it, because he had the highest of both. So he's like, okay, I'll use the intelligence. Well, he didn't make the roll. So basically, it was some of the most horrendous sounds that anyone had ever heard. So I was telling him that it's painful to listen to. And I told my nephew and his other friend, I'm like, you can see the goblins they're getting worked up. And when his friend stopped playing, the leader of the goblins bursts into tears. He's like, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. We'll take it. Of course, there was some spare rowboats that were sitting there on the beach. So they end up they have to take the pianoforte and turn it upside down, like at an angle, to fit it into the rowboat. And the goblins tied it to their rowboat. And so as they're leaving, the goblin is looking at my nephew's friend Daniel, who was playing. He's like, goodbye, my friend. Goodbye. Goodbye. And my nephew's other friend didn't like that. I was like, all right, whatever. He's like, oh, that was stupid. I was like, what the fuck do you expect, man? This isn't a video game. So, anyway, I see people are kind of laughing. I thought it was kind of clever. Well, not clever, but I thought it was kind of funny. Especially when they're sitting there like, oh my God, he rolled so poorly. It wasn't a critical failure, but it wasn't good. So, all right. Anyway, so that's what's going on. And I shall be running Call of Cthulhu in late June, because my nephew is actually in the Air National Guard. So he has his 2 weeks coming up. So we'll be playing on the 19th. So I'll give you a little update on what's going on. Okay, so we're going to be taking a look at Fear of the Unknown in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
The most popular beverage in America, milk. Refreshing and delicious. The perfect pickup and energizer. Get yours now.
Here's magic, popcorn magic. Only hot, fresh, perfectly seasoned popcorn can satisfy that movie time popcorn craving. So if you like popcorn, you'll really like ours. We start with the best and make it better. Get plenty for everybody now.
Get the item that adds to your personal comfort. Cigarettes, here they are. Get the kind you prefer and enjoy them thoroughly. All the most popular brands.
Get the item that adds to your personal comfort. Cigarettes, here you are. Get the kind you prefer and enjoy them thoroughly. All the most popular brands.
Anybody who doesn't drink Wilkins coffee ought to be tarred and feathered, right? Wrong! He always was a bad sport.
Oh, buy us, oh, buy us, oh, buy us, we beg. For if you don't buy us, we'll bite you in the leg.
Now, hold on. What kind of an attitude is that?
So buy us at once a bundle of charms.
And if you don't buy us, we'll break both your arms.
Okay, that's enough. Friends, buy the ideal Muppets. The kids will be screaming for them.
Yes. I was like, I'm hitting it for the change, and I'm like, come on, get back to me. What's going on? John Mascola says, smokes in a theater? Well, actually, that was a drive-in intermission ad. But I know when I was a teenager, and I mean, I am 55, but when I was a teenager, you could still smoke in theaters. You can smoke on planes. Hell, I was in my 20s and you could still smoke on planes. So, yes, Front NKS says, talk about a different time. Most definitely. All right, so tonight we are going to dive on in and take a first look at Fear of the Unknown from Sixpence None the Richer. Sixpence Games. It's written by Thomas Elliott. The 253-page softcover with PDF is available for $25 over at DriveThruRPG, or you can grab just the PDF alone for $15. As Roger Perdome says, you could smoke in hospitals. Yes, doctors smoked. I remember going to see like a general practitioner, and they'd be sitting there puffing away. It's like, okay. I smoked for years, so I couldn't say anything about it. But still, alrighty, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Fear of the Unknown. Let's take a look at the back here. Every game is a horror film. Solve mysteries, encounter horrors, face peril, and see how that changes you as a person. It is zero prep, horror mystery role-playing. All right, so I'm curious, as now I got something in my eye. There was a little bug flying around. I hope it wasn't that. I don't know. I've never run something complete. Well, okay, I take that back. When I was, a teenager running role-playing games. Yeah, there was some zero prep stuff just off the top of my head. But I don't know. I've not really run anything zero prep. And I'm kind of curious. Especially when you're looking at like a horror role-playing game. So I don't know. Here we go. Here's a quote that most of you will probably recognize. The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear. And the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear the unknown. Oh, they're not going to attribute it to H.P. Lovecraft from supernatural horror. Or no, I'm sorry. Horror in supernatural literature, to be precise. Okay, so it says everyone should have 2 six-sided dice, something to write with, their own copy of the moves. Well, there we know. It is powered by the apocalypse. As I had mentioned, I thought it was. And so you can copy those from pages 68 and 245, respectively. Or just keep track of them with pencil and paper or text document. Talking about music from Henry Manfredini. I'm not familiar with him. I'm like, okay. To John Carpenter, well, yeah, of course. Everybody knows John Carpenter and his theme music. Although a lot of people think he was the composer of The Thing. He was not. Although he did a pretty good soundtrack for Prince of Darkness. So we have music tracks, so that's kind of fun. Okay, so here are our artists. And I am not even going to try to pronounce them because there are some that I am not even butchering them would be probably impossible for me to even try to do. It would be that bad. And here's our content. I gotta say, the binding is fairly like close, pretty tight, as you can see here, as far as like the margin. So, Fear of the Unknown is a horror mystery role-playing game where every time you play, you'll create your own horror story, akin to your favorite horror movies, thrillers, slashers. Gialli? Is that like Italian? Or other terrifying films. Together, you and the other players will create a setting and occupy it with characters. One of you, the Oracle, will come up with a mystery prompt, and you'll all play together to find out what happens. You all die. I'm just kidding. Okay, so if you're new to role-playing games, we had our safety tools. We got to throw that. We got an X card floating around here. There it is. I knew we were going to see that X card. So I should point out that the fine folks over at Sixpence Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But please keep in mind, neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage. And these days, it's important for you to know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page, but I do want to get a good feel for what is in this book, the mechanics of playing the game, because I'm not familiar with this at all. I obviously am familiar with Powered by the Apocalypse games, but Fear of the Unknown is a game of intimate horror. It's about how your characters and the place they live are connected, and this terrible thing that happens to them. It's about how living through these events changes them as people and as a town. You'll all collaborate to create the small town setting and then create the characters together. Almost like Bubblegum Shoe, which I thought was a fantastic game. I thought it was really well done. So you're actually creating a town as well as your characters. And then we're going to have 3 acts. Yep, 3-act structure. Example stories. a Midwest farming town, 1950s. A farmer desecrates a sacred statue dedicated to the worship of the local birds. The birds are enraged and attack the townsfolk until the protagonists take the statue out of town, running over some hippies in the process. I gotta knock off the hippies if it's a 50s movie, huh? See, Salem, Massachusetts, 1692. I wonder what was going on then. A tree is cursed such that anyone whose name is carved into it is attacked by animals. Townsfolk cast suspicion on one another. One of the protagonists is convicted of witchcraft. Another becomes one with the tree. I thought this is zero prep, though. Wouldn't you prep? Oh, okay. So it says, these are some examples of the kinds of stories you can create. So I was going to say, isn't that a plot line that you're kind of putting together? So, Kabuki Kid is with us in chat. Welcome aboard, Double K. So we got our rules. So we've got tags. We have positive tags, negative tags, wild tags. Represent things about your character that sometimes help and sometimes hinder you. Like aspects of their personality, equipment, or skills they can't quite rely on. Then we have bonds, town tags, temporary tags. That's kind of cool. Looks like that's from the birds. So, looks like we got a bunch of random tables. There you go, town creation. What's a local landmark? Who's someone that everyone in town knows, or at least knows of? There you go, the drug dealer. Sure, okay. Kabuki Kid says, who remembers Tag, the assassination game? I remember Killer from Steve Jackson Games. I'm pretty sure that's what it originally was called. All right, so we've got another town here. Oh, there's the cemetery next to the old church. I like the artwork. So we get a flow chart. So it's kind of the character creation flow chart. So I guess it's questions. Okay. What have you trained for the most in your life? Who do you value most? Or I'm sorry, which do you value most? You had to do something bad for cash once. What was it? I dealt drugs for the drug dealer everybody knows. Is that out of here? Maybe. What's something you want to know more about? I don't see UFOs. Rare, it says rare books, antiques, cars. You haven't always used your power for good. What's one time you regret using it? This is a negative tag. So it appears that you would be rolling 2 6-sided dice, probably different colors, so that you've got which table you're going to be rolling on. You've got money and you know how to spend it. What did you buy? Someone learned something about you that you'd rather they didn't. What was it? That I had dealt drugs for the drug dealer everybody knows. All that effort's paying off. What have you been doing? I keep telling you what I've been doing. Which describes you better? I'm a risk taker. I prefer to play things safe. And then we get a breakdown of those. Has anything else gone seriously wrong with your life? Yes, no. More tables there. For being no prep, there seems to be a lot of prep going on. So, John is calling it a night. Good to see you, John. We will catch you next time. He's got to go to sleep. He's got to work. Well, that's how it works. That's how it is with the vast majority of us. So we have our moves. So that's what I'm kind of curious about. So, okay, so we've got basic moves. And this is a powered by the apocalypse thing, or apocalypse engine thing, I guess I should say. So the basic moves here are investigate, face peril, and encounter true horror. That's a basic move. That's pretty wild. So we get a breakdown. And then if you are not overly familiar with the apocalypse engine, basically it's roll a couple of six-sided dice, and 10 or higher is a success, and 7 and 9 is, it can be like success, but, so you're successful, but there's a consequence or there's a negative aspect. It could also be failure, but, so we have revelations. It says as you play, you'll pick up the 3 forms of experience. Oh, I was gonna say on 6 or less, it is a failure. Although once again, I think around like a 6, you can also kind of do like the failure, but. So you'll have 3 forms of experience: horror, which you gain when you encounter true horror; humanity, which you gain when your negative tags are invoked; and foreboding, which you gain when you roll a 6 or below on a move. Aha. Oops, a little more artwork there. So it looks like it's going into a breakdown of the various different moves. I wonder if we have like a character archetype. Let's take a look. There was a table of contents, right? Oh, maybe not. Oh, wait. Playbooks, didn't it say the playbooks are like page 65? Or was that? No, I guess it wasn't 65. Well, we'll see. If we don't see it here, of course, I'll tell you in the review. So it's giving examples of these various different moves and what you could do with those rolls. Kabuki Kid points out it's light on the art. Yeah. I mean, there's art now. As soon as Kabuki Kid said that, now, of course, every page I'm turning to has artwork on it. So you need a mystery. Here's some charts. Hey, we got more charts and tables to help you come up with a secret and inciting instant for the mystery. A crucial thing to keep in mind when coming up with the mystery is to tie the mystery to the protagonists and town tags. Yes. Jessica Fletcher's the killer every time. What are they doing? Seemingly random killings, highly ritualized killings, obvious killings, kidnappings. What? No more killings? Coercing people and haunting a specific location. I think that Sixpence Games also has, I think it's a brand new game. Maybe it's going to Kickstarter. Maybe it's not out yet. But I think it's like a mystery game that's kind of built on this. So if you're not looking for like a horror game, if you are looking to do your own Murder, She Wrote sort of thing, of course there's Brindlewood Bay, but that's kind of a horror game too. So I could have swore, I thought that's kind of like Murder, She Wrote meets the Cthulhu Mythos sort of thing. All right, so we have sequels. I noticed some of these horror games that kind of try to emulate films like to throw the term sequel in a lot. Where it's like, yeah, if you're gonna do like another story, like do a campaign, that you shouldn't go more than 3. So Kabuki Kid says, enter the art. So here we go. We've got noir. So it looks like we've got different. Maybe this might not be as heavy into horror as I might have been thinking, because here's like solve a lighthearted mystery. They're talking about noir. Admit you're scared. So we've got example towns. Barry, New England. It's on the tip of my tongue. What is set in Barry? Isn't it Dairy, by the way? Happy Canyon, the South, 1960s. Oh yeah. Okay. Hope you're all playing Caucasian characters there. We've got Spring Isle off the coast of Scotland, 1970s. Hello, Wickham. Christmas, the Rockies. I don't know. Would that be like Silent Nights? Those crazy, some of those like killer Santa Claus movies. Nuclear Rise, Pacific Northwest in the 2000s. Red Bay, the Midwest, present. Example characters. So, an example town creation. So it looks like this is kind of running through how they got started with the game. Looks like we've got an example of play. Hey, our friend Chen from Taiwan is in chat with us. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging with the gang. So it looks like we've got a pretty long example here. Then we got an appendix. Or maybe appendices. So we've got ludography. Bingo right there. Call of Cthulhu introduced me to horror investigation in role-playing games. This got me started thinking about what can be done in this space and what I want out of mechanics to support these kind of stories. Got Apocalypse World. So I guess these are kind of inspirations. City of Mist. Gumshoe. Now I just mentioned Bubble Gumshoe, which is actually built on Gumshoe. Turn of the Card. I am not familiar with that. Dread. I have heard of Dread. I have not taken a peek at that. Oh, then we got a videography. My Bloody Valentine. Oh, that was awful. I'm not really a slasher film fan. Now, I don't mind horror movies. I like horror movies, but to me, a slasher flick, just like kind of funny. We were actually talking about Nightmare on Elm Street, and yesterday, after we were done playing, kind of just talking about. We were trying to explain Call of Cthulhu to my nephew Cameron's friend Daniel, and he was talking about how he's a big fan of the some of the Friday the 13th movies, but he was a big fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I'm like, I gotta be honest. By the time they did Freddy versus Jason or Jason versus Freddy or whatever, I was like, those two characters had become jokes. I said that was like the equivalent of it was like a 2000s. I think it was in the 2000s that came out. I think it was that recently. I said that was like the 2000s Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. And his friend was like, "What is that?" I was like, "Oh my gosh." I haven't seen that movie in probably 20 years, and I still remember when he's trying to say, chick, because Dracula's coffin's opening. Front End Chaos says, In the Mouth of Madness is their favorite mythos-style movie. I actually mentioned that in my latest review. Although, for some strange reason, I called it At Mouth of Madness. It's like, for crying out loud. I'm not going to reshoot the video for that. All right, that is Fear of the Unknown from Sixpence Games. I will have a review of this in the not too distant future. So there we have it. Very nice. Once again, big thank you to Sixpence Games for sending this along for review. Nice. Speaking of reviews, you may not have noticed this, but the 950th review arrived on the Gaming Gang. So keep in mind, and I mentioned this during the review video, it's not 950 review videos, because the first 2 years that the Gaming Gang was around, we only did written reviews. And every once in a while we would do like exclusive audio reviews for the podcast that Ellie and I did. But I think video-wise, maybe it's 600 reviews, something like that. I mean, the Gaming Gang cranked out more reviews back in the day because it was Elliot and I, and we had other contributors as well. So, Front End Chaos said, Glorious is a pretty entertaining horror comedy inspired by mythos stuff. I have heard of that. I have almost watched it. Isn't that the one with J.K. Simmons as the voice of the entity that's in the bathroom? Coco B is hanging out. Coco B says, tell that kid, he's early 20s, but yeah, he's a kid. Get to a Blockbuster. It is kind of funny because, he was like, what is that? You know, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. He knew who Frankenstein was. And I said, you know, in the 1930s, which is when Frankenstein came out, and Dracula, and then you had, you know, the Mummy and Wolfman and things like that. There were people who were scared shitless by those movies. They were terrified by them. And then by the time we got to the 40s, it was like, seriously, we've got Nazis in Europe. These aren't very scary. So they became kind of a joke. And the Universal monsters had kind of hit rock bottom when they were featured in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. Although I'm not saying that, you know, Abbott and Costello movies, it was like you were slumming to be in them. I mean, they were super popular, but I mean, they were played off for laughs. Although Larry Talbot, not so much. The character of the Wolfman, Lon Chaney Jr., they don't treat him, you know, like, oh, ha, ha, ha. Like Frankenstein, Dracula in it, they're kind of stupid, you know, a little bit. Not so with Larry Talbot. So Kabuki Kid says, yeah, Nazis are scarier than a horror movie. Yeah. All right. So that is it for this time out. If you liked the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ring that bell, because it will not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. I'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as the aforementioned 950th review, which just happens to be Call of Cthulhu Nameless Horrors from Chaosium Inc. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you will not find here on the Gaming Gang channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. If you watched live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, a bigger thank you and a tip of the cap, because you not only keep each other company, You keep me company, but more importantly, you're kind of keeping each other company while I'm, babbling on, reading news pieces, things like that. So thank you. But of course, I know a lot of you out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. I really do appreciate each and every one of you taking time out of your busy lives to watch any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. Tomorrow I shall be back, and it will be another War Game Wednesday. Although you can play this game without conflict in it. And it is Ancient Civilizations of the Middle East we are going to be diving on into. This is from our friends over at GMT Games. As far as the Thursday show, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure if we're going to take a first look at something or if I'm going to roll out a live review, which I have not done in quite a while. But there are going to be some live reviews in June. Okay, so once again, like I said, thanks for hanging out. And of course, until I see you next time, here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.
Oh, hey, you're still here. That's okay. You don't have to leave just yet. In fact, why don't you subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel right here, or take a peek at the latest live stream, or even find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks again for watching.